For over 2 decades, One Piece has taken us on an incredible journey across vast seas, but the greatest mystery lies not in the future, but in the past. 100-year gap in history, erased from every book, every record, every memory. This is the story of the Void Century. Picture this. 900 years ago, the world was a very different place. At its heart stood a civilization so powerful, so advanced, it was known simply as the Great Kingdom. We don't know its real name, but we know it possessed technology and ideals that far surpassed anything seen since. This kingdom was the cradle of a unique philosophy, one that championed freedom, unity, and coexistence among all races. But this vision of a unified world was not shared by everyone. Rising to challenge the Great Kingdom was an alliance of 20 ambitious nations. These 20 kingdoms saw the Great Kingdom's power and influence as a threat to their own sovereignty and ambitions. They feared its ideals and coveted its strength. And so, a great war erupted, a conflict that would reshape the entire world. This wasn't just a battle for territory, it was a war of ideologies, a clash between freedom and control. At the center of this devastating war were 3 instruments of unimaginable power: the ancient weapons, Pluton, a warship capable of obliterating entire islands with a single shot; Poseidon, a mermaid princess with the ability to command the colossal sea kings, masters of the ocean deep; and Uranus, the most mysterious of the 3, its true form and function still shrouded in secrecy. The Great Kingdom created these weapons, but their purpose remains a topic of intense debate. Were they meant for conquest, or as a last resort to defend their ideals of freedom? The conflict raged, and ultimately, the 20 kingdoms emerged victorious. The Great Kingdom was utterly annihilated, its name, its culture, its entire existence wiped from the face of the earth. In its place, the victorious 20 nations formed a new global power, an entity designed to maintain their newfound control forever. The world government, to ensure their authority would never be questioned, the world government committed the ultimate act of historical censorship. They declared the 100 years of the Great Kingdom's existence a complete void. Any research, any discussion, any attempt to uncover this lost history was made a capital crime. They wanted the world to forget. Why? Because the truth holds the power to unravel their entire regime. The ideals of the Great Kingdom, freedom, equality, and challenging authority are the very antithesis of the world government's rule. But you can't erase an idea. You can't kill a legacy. And that's where 2 enigmatic figures come into play. Joyboy and the bearers of the will of Joyboy was a prominent figure from the Void Century, a man who made a promise to the fishmen of Fishman Island, a promise he couldn't keep, but one he vowed someone else would fulfill in the distant future. He left behind an apology on a Poneglyph and a legendary treasure, the One Piece, on the final island. Laughtail. Joyboy seems to be the embodiment of the Great Kingdom's spirit, a symbol of liberation and laughter. His return is prophesied, tied to the dawn of the world, a time when the shadows of the past will finally be dispelled. Then there are those who carry the initial D. In their names, Monkey D, Luffy Gall, D Roger, Trafalgar D, Waterlaw, Marshall D, Teach. The world government calls them the natural enemies of the gods being the celestial dragons, the descendants of the 20 kings who rule from on high. The will of D is an inherited spirit, a destiny passed down through generations. Those who carry it are often charismatic, reckless, and fiercely dedicated to their own freedom. They are the Stormbringers, the individuals destined to challenge the world order and uncover the forbidden truth. It's no coincidence that the king of the pirates, Gall D. Roger, was the first man in 800 years to reach Laughtail, learn the true history, and laugh. The world government's fear of this history is absolute. We saw this with the tragedy of O'Hara. The scholars of O'Hara, driven by a thirst for knowledge, dared to decipher the Poneglyphs, indestructible stones left behind by the Great Kingdom that tell the true story of the Void Century. For this crime, the world government enacted a buster call, an overwhelming military assault that wiped the entire island and its people off the map. Only one survivor, a young Nico Robin, escaped, carrying the burden of her people's sacrifice and the key to unlocking the world's greatest secret. So what is the ultimate truth of the Void Century? It's the story of a lost kingdom that championed freedom. It's the story of a great war won by those who sought control. It's the story of an ongoing cover-up by a global power built on a foundation of lies. And it's the story of an inherited will, a promise waiting to be fulfilled, and a treasure that contains not just riches, but the truth that will turn the world upside down. When Luffy finally reaches Laughtail and the One Piece, he won't just be finding gold and jewels, he will be inheriting the story of Joyboy, the history of the Great Kingdom, and the reason for the 800-year-long war. The discovery will trigger the final, massive conflict that Whitebeard spoke of, a war that will engulf the entire world. It will be a battle to reclaim history, to fulfill an ancient promise, and to bring the true dawn to the world. The Void Century is not just a piece of lore. It is the very heart of One Piece's grand narrative, and its revelation will be the moment everything changes. The seas will roar, the thrones will tremble, and the world will finally learn the truth it was forced to forget. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the One Piece universe. If you enjoyed this exploration, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you won't miss our next adventure into the world of anime and manga. What are your theories about the Void Century? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep sailing.